Why would a trained war dog tear through a kitchen floor like it's trying to reach someone still alive beneath it? The wood splinters under Axel's claws, sharp cracks echoing through the dark kitchen as he digs. Faster, deeper, ignoring Logan's command to stop. Blood streaks the floor. Then, he freezes. Head tilted. A low growl. From below, something shifts. Logan hears it too. Not the house, something else. What do you think is down there? The sound didn't belong in a place like this. It cut through the silence the way a knife cuts through fabric. Sharp, deliberate, wrong. Logan Pierce's eyes snapped open before his mind fully caught up. His body was already moving, heart kicking into rhythm, breath held tight in his chest. For a second, he didn't know where he was. The darkness pressed in too close. The air felt too still. Then the cold seeped in through the floorboards, through the thin blanket, through the bones of the house itself. Colorado. Not Afghanistan. Not the desert. Not the compound with the blown-out walls and the metallic taste of dust in the air. The sound came again. Scratching. Fast. Aggressive. Relentless. Logan sat up in the narrow bed, the old frame creaking under his weight. His hand moved without thinking, reaching toward the nightstand. Empty. No rifle. No sidearm. Just a flashlight and a half-empty glass of water. His jaw tightened. The scratching didn't stop. It wasn't outside. It was inside the house. Low. Close. Beneath him. "Axel," he muttered, voice rough from disuse. No response. Just the sound. Louder now. Frantic. Claws tearing at wood. Logan swung his legs over the side of the bed. Yet his bare feet hit the cold floor, and the chill shot straight up his spine. He stood still for a second, listening, counting. 1, 2, 3. The rhythm of the scratching didn't change. No pause. No hesitation. Not an animal trying to get in. Something already inside. He grabbed the flashlight, thumb hovering over the switch, then clicked it on. A narrow beam cut through the darkness, catching dust in the air. The hallway outside his bedroom stretched long and empty, shadows pooling in the corners. The scratching came again, from the kitchen. Logan moved, not fast, not loud, low steps, weight balanced, eyes scanning every angle like he was back in an AO he didn't trust. He kept the beam down, sweeping it across the floor, then up the walls, then toward the open doorway ahead. The house groaned softly around him, old wood shifting in the night. Wind whispered against the siding, but it didn't match the sound. Nothing matched the sound. He reached the kitchen doorway and stopped. Axel was there. The German shepherd's body was rigid, muscles coiled tight under his thick coat. He was crouched low near the far corner of the kitchen, front paws slamming again and again against the floor, claws scraping, wood splintering. There was blood on his paws, dark, wet streaks smeared across the worn boards. "Axel," Logan said, sharper now. The dog didn't stop, didn't even look at him. He was focused on one exact spot, right where the floor met the base of the old cabinet. His entire body leaned into it, like he was trying to dig through the house itself. "Hey! Hey!" Logan crossed the room in 3 quick steps and grabbed the dog by the collar. Axel resisted immediately, a low, vibrating growl building in his chest. Not at Logan, at the ground. "Easy," Logan muttered, tightening his grip. "Easy, boy. What the hell are you doing?" Axel twisted hard, trying to break free, paws still scraping, still reaching for that spot. The growl deepened, not aggressive, not wild, urgent, desperate. Logan pulled him back. For a second, the scratching stopped. The silence that followed felt heavier than the noise. Axel stood frozen, chest heaving, ears forward, eyes locked on the floor. Then slowly, deliberately, he stepped forward again and placed himself directly over the same spot. And he growled. Low, steady, controlled, a warning. Logan's grip loosened. Something in the dog's posture, something he hadn't seen before, made him pause. Axel wasn't panicking. He wasn't chasing something. He was guarding. Logan exhaled slowly, forcing his breathing to settle. His pulse still hammered in his ears, but the edge of it shifted. This wasn't chaos. This was focus. He crouched down. The beam of the flashlight moved over the floor. The wood there was older than the rest, darker, worn smoother by time. A faint line ran along the edge, almost invisible unless you were looking for it. Axel let out a soft whine. Not fear. Impatience. Logan swallowed. "All right," he said quietly. "Let's see what you've got." He reached out and knocked on the floor with his knuckles. A dull thud echoed back. Solid. He shifted his hand a few inches to the left and knocked again. Another dull thud. He moved closer to where Axel stood. The dog didn't move, but his body tensed, as if bracing for something. Logan tapped the wood. The sound changed. Not loud, not obvious, but different. Hollow. Logan froze. He tapped again. Slower this time. Listening. Hollow. He pressed his palm flat against the floor. The wood felt cold, colder than the rest of the room, as if something beneath it was pulling the heat away. Axel leaned down and pressed his nose against the same spot, inhaling sharply. Then he scratched once, hard, and looked up at Logan. Waiting. Logan's throat tightened. "Why," he murmured, more to himself than the dog, "would a trained war dog act like it's trying to dig someone out?" The question hung in the air. No answer came. Only the quiet creak of the house, and the faint, lingering echo of something beneath the floor that didn't belong there. Logan stayed there for a long time, crouched on the cold boards, and staring at that spot while Axel refused to leave it. Outside, the wind picked up, brushing through the trees that surrounded the isolated property. The branches scraped against each other with a dry, whispering sound that reminded him too much of sand against concrete. He pushed that thought away. Not here. Not now. He shifted his weight and sat back on his heels, eyes never leaving the floor. His mind began to move the way it used to. Slow, methodical, breaking the situation down piece by piece. Old house. Unknown structure. Possible void beneath. Possible entry point. Possible... He stopped himself. This wasn't a mission. It was just a house. Just a piece of land his mother had left behind. Just a place he had come to disappear. Axel let out another low whine. Logan looked at him. The dog's ears were still forward, had body angled protectively over that exact spot, as if whatever lay beneath it mattered more than anything else in the world. Logan exhaled. "All right," he said quietly. "We'll figure it out in the morning." But he didn't stand up, didn't move away. He stayed there on the cold kitchen floor, back against the cabinet, flashlight resting loosely in his hand. Axel lay down beside the spot, chin hovering just above the wood, eyes open, unblinking. Guarding. Logan leaned his head back and closed his eyes for a moment. Sleep didn't come. It never really did anymore. Every time the house creaked, every time the wind shifted, his body tensed, waiting for something that wasn't supposed to happen here. Somewhere deep in his chest, that old instinct stirred again. Not fear. Not exactly. Recognition. Something was wrong with this place. And whatever it was, Axel had found it first. Logan didn't remember falling asleep. One moment he was sitting on the kitchen floor, back pressed against the cabinet, eyes half closed but alert. The next, gray morning light was leaking through the window above the sink, thin and cold, stretching across the boards where Axel still lay. The dog hadn't moved. Same position, same spot, guarding. Logan's neck ached as he straightened, joints stiff from the cold. He rolled his shoulders once, slow, feeling the familiar pull along his spine, the kind that never quite left after too many years carrying gear that weighed more than it should. Axel lifted his head the moment Logan shifted, ears forward, waiting. "Yeah," Logan muttered, voice low. "I didn't forget." He pushed himself up and walked to the sink. The faucet groaned when he turned it, water sputtering before it ran steady. He cupped some in his hand, splashed his face once, then twice. Cold enough to wake him up, not enough to shake the feeling. He glanced down at the floor again. Same spot. Same faint seam in the wood. Same wrongness. He grabbed a mug from the counter and poured yesterday's coffee into it, reheating it on the old stove. The burner clicked, flame catching after a second. The smell filled the kitchen, burnt, bitter, familiar. Axel didn't take his eyes off the floor. "Drink," Logan said, nudging a bowl toward him with his boot. The dog hesitated. Then slowly, he stepped away from the spot, drank just enough, and returned to the exact same place. Logan watched that, logged it. Not normal behavior, not random, intentional. He leaned down and ran his hand over Axel's paws. The dried blood had darkened into crusted lines along the fur. The pads were raw, torn from the effort. "You did this all night," Logan murmured. Axel didn't flinch, didn't pull away, just kept watching the floor. Logan grabbed the first aid kit from the cabinet, old but stocked. He cleaned the wounds carefully, working with the same steady hands that had stitched worse injuries under worse conditions. Axel didn't make a sound, didn't even twitch. "Still got it," Logan said under his breath. The dog blinked once, slow, like he understood. Outside, the wind picked up, brushing through the dry grass that stretched across the property. It carried that hollow, open sound Logan hadn't heard in years, not since the mountains overseas where everything echoed differently. But he finished wrapping the paws and stood up. "All right," he said. "Let's see what we're dealing with." He grabbed a crowbar from the back room, rusted at the edges but solid, and returned to the kitchen. Axel stepped back just enough to give him space but stayed close. Logan slid the tip of the bar into the seam between the boards, paused, listened. Nothing. No movement. No sound from below. Still. Something about it made his grip tighten. He pushed down. The wood groaned but didn't give. "Old nails," he muttered. He shifted position, tried again at a different angle. This time the board lifted a fraction of an inch, just enough to confirm it. It wasn't part of the original floor. It had been placed there. Later, covered up. Logan exhaled slowly. "Yeah," he said under his breath. "Oh, that tracks." Axel let out a low sound. Not quite a bark, not quite a whine. Agreement. Logan worked the crowbar again, slower this time, careful not to snap the wood. The board creaked louder, nails protesting as they began to loosen. Then, a sharp metallic clang echoed in his head. Not here, not now, but it hit anyway. The sound of steel on steel, a door slamming somewhere far away, voices yelling, too fast, too loud, the smell of dust and something burning. Logan froze. His hand tightened on the crowbar until his knuckles went white. Breath stopped. The kitchen disappeared for a second, replaced by something hotter, tighter, louder. Axel barked. One sharp grounding sound. Logan blinked. The house came back. Cold air, morning light, wooden floor. His chest rose sharply as he dragged in a breath. "Yeah," he muttered, while shaking his head once. "I'm good." Axel stepped closer, pressing lightly against his leg. Not afraid. Anchoring. Logan reached down, resting a hand on the dog's neck for a second. Felt the steady warmth there. The solid presence. Then he pulled back and went back to work. The second board came loose faster. When it lifted, a thin line of darkness opened beneath it. Cold air pushed up through the gap, damp, stale, carrying a faint metallic scent that didn't belong in a house this old. Logan leaned closer. Didn't shine the light yet. Just listened. Nothing. No movement. No breathing. Just emptiness. He widened the gap enough to slide the flashlight through. The beam cut into the darkness, revealing space. Not dirt. Not insulation. A hollow cavity beneath the floor. Deeper than it should have been. Logan frowned. "Oh, this house isn't that old," he said quietly. "No basement listed." Axel's ears twitched. Logan shifted the light, angling it further. Wooden supports. Old. Reinforced. And beyond them, blackness that swallowed the beam. He pulled the flashlight back slowly. Didn't rush. Didn't assume. Hidden space, he murmured. Under the kitchen. Axel let out another low sound. Logan sat back on his heels. His mind was already moving ahead, building a picture piece by piece. Someone had built this. Not recently, not casually, and then covered it. Which meant he stopped that thought. Too early. Not enough information. He stood up and moved to the counter, grabbing a folded piece of paper that had been sitting there since he arrived. He hadn't paid much attention to it before. Just another leftover in a house full of things his mother never threw away. Now it caught his eye. He unfolded it. Handwriting. Familiar. His mother's. The ink had faded slightly, but the words were clear. Trust the land. Trust the dog. Logan stared at it for a long second. Then he looked back at Axel. The dog was already watching him, waiting. Logan let out a slow breath. Yeah, he said. She knew something. Outside, a truck passed somewhere far off, the faint sound of tires on gravel carrying through the open land. It faded quickly, swallowed by distance. Logan stepped to the window, scanning the horizon out of habit. No movement, no dust trails, nothing out of place, no. Still, he lingered there a second longer than necessary, then turned back. Axel had moved again. Well, not away. Closer. Standing right over the opening now, body angled protectively, as if whatever lay beneath it mattered more than anything else in the house. Logan looked down at the gap in the floor, then back at the note in his hand, then at Axel. Something shifted in his chest. Not fear. Not yet. Something else. Recognition. Like the start of a mission he hadn't agreed to, but couldn't walk away from. All right, he said quietly. He folded the paper and slipped it into his pocket. We do this right. He glanced once more at the opening, then toward the back room where the rest of his gear sat. What little he had left of it. Flashlight, knife, rope, not much, but enough to start. Axel didn't move, didn't look away. And for the first time since Logan stepped into this house, he didn't feel like he was alone in it. The feeling didn't go away with the daylight. If anything, it sharpened. Logan stood on the front porch with a mug of coffee gone cold in his hand, eyes scanning the wide stretch of land that rolled out in every direction. 75 acres of dry grass, scattered pines, and uneven ground that dipped and rose like it had a memory of something older beneath it. Nothing moved. No wind strong enough to bend the grass. No birds cutting across the sky. Just a stillness that sat heavy on the property, like it was waiting. Logan took a slow sip anyway. Burnt, bitter, useless. He set the mug down on the railing and stepped off the porch. Axel followed immediately, falling into position at his left side without needing a command. The dog's gait was steady despite the bandages, limping slightly, but controlled, focused. Logan noticed, filed it away. He started walking the perimeter. Not because he had to, because it was what his body expected him to do. He moved low when the terrain dipped, took higher ground when it offered a better line of sight. Every few steps, his eyes swept the edges. Tree line, fence line, shadows between the rocks. He paused at intervals, listening, counting again, not consciously, just habit. Axel mirrored him, stopping when Logan stopped, looking where Logan looked. Except sometimes, the dog would lock onto something that Logan couldn't see, like now. They were halfway across the field when Axel froze, ears forward, body stiff. Logan didn't ask what it was. He followed the dog's gaze. Tree line, about 200 yards out. Nothing obvious. But the feeling came back, tight in the chest, crawling up the back of his neck. Someone watching. Logan shifted his stance slightly, angling his body without making it obvious. He let his eyes drift past the spot, scanning wider. Nothing moved. No flash of light. No broken branches. Still. Axel let out a low rumble. Not loud. Not aggressive. A warning. Logan's jaw tightened. Yeah, he muttered under his breath. I see it too. He didn't, but he trusted the dog more than his own eyes. They stayed like that for a long moment. Then, just as suddenly, Axel relaxed. The tension left his body like a switch flipped. The feeling lingered. Logan exhaled slowly. Not gone, he said quietly. Just moved. He turned back toward the house. No point pushing it. Not yet. They hadn't even cleared the ground properly. As they walked back, Logan noticed the fence along the far edge of the property, on old wood posts, wire sagging between them. One section near the tree line looked off. He angled toward it. Axel stayed close. When Logan reached the fence, he crouched down, running his fingers along the wire. Rust flaked off under his touch. Nothing unusual there. Then he saw it. A clean cut. Not old. Not weathered. Recent. The wire had been clipped and bent back, then roughly twisted into place again. Temporary fix. Someone had come through here. Not long ago. Logan straightened slowly, eyes drifting back toward the trees. All right, he said under his breath. Now we're talking. Axel sniffed the ground near the fence, then followed a faint trail that led into the grass. He stopped after a few steps, looking back at Logan. Waiting. Logan shook his head. Not today. They weren't prepared. He wasn't going to chase a ghost into the trees without knowing what was waiting. He turned back toward the house. Axel followed, but slower this time. Reluctant. Logan felt it too, like they were leaving something unfinished. Halfway back, the sound of an engine rolled across the land. Low at first, then louder. Logan turned. A pickup truck came into view from the dirt road that cut across the property's edge. Old model. Faded paint. Tires kicking up dust as it slowed near the front gate. Logan didn't move. Just watched. The truck idled for a moment. Then the driver stepped out. An older man. Late 60s, maybe early 70s. Broad shoulders that had shrunk with age but hadn't disappeared. A weathered face under a worn cap. He leaned on the door for a second, looking out over the land like he knew it. Then his eyes landed on Logan. Stayed there. Axel moved forward slightly, positioning himself between Logan and the stranger. Not barking. Not yet. Just watching. The man raised one hand, slow, not threatening. Morning, he called out, voice carrying across the open space. Logan didn't respond right away. Measured. Then he walked forward, stopping about 10 feet short of the fence. Morning? The man nodded, studying him. You Logan Pierce? Logan's expression didn't change. Depends who's asking. A faint smile tugged at the corner of the man's mouth. Name's Grant Holloway. Lived down the ridge about a mile east. Used to work this land. Back when your grandfather still had it. Logan's eyes flickered. Didn't know that. Not much left to know, Grant said. Most folks stopped coming around after, well, he didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. Logan leaned slightly against the fence post, casual on the outside. Inside, his mind was already running scenarios. Local, knows the land, knows the history, could be useful, could be trouble. Something I can help you with? Logan asked. Grant glanced past him toward the house, then back at Axel. Dog's new, he said. Yeah. Good dog. Axel didn't react. Grant nodded once, like that confirmed something. Then he looked back at Logan, expression shifting just enough to matter. You settling in all right? Getting there. Grant studied him for another second, then sighed quietly. Listen, he said, lowering his voice a fraction. You might want to be careful around here. Logan didn't move. Careful how? Grant glanced toward the tree line, same spot Axel had been watching. People had their eyes on this place for a long time, he said, and they don't like being told no. Logan's gaze followed his. Who? Grant shook his head. Not a conversation to have out in the open. Axel let out a low growl. Grant noticed. Dog knows it too, he said. That something ain't right. Logan crossed his arms. What do they want with a piece of land that's falling apart? Grant let out a dry chuckle. Son, if it was just the land, nobody would care. That landed heavier than it should have. Logan felt it. Then what is it? Grant looked at him for a long second, like he was deciding something. Then he shook his head again. You'll figure it out, he said, or they'll make sure you don't. The words hung in the air. No, not a threat. Not exactly. A warning. Grant pushed off the truck door. Just don't take any deals too fast, he added, and don't trust anyone who shows up offering money before you even know what you've got. Logan's eyes narrowed slightly. Anyone in particular? Grant smiled faintly. You'll know him when you see him. He climbed back into the truck. The engine rumbled to life. For a second, he hesitated, hand on the wheel. Then he leaned out the window. One more thing, he said. If that dog starts acting strange again, you listen. Axel's ears twitched. Grant nodded once, like that settled it. Then he drove off, dust trailing behind him as he disappeared down the road. Silence returned. But it wasn't the same silence as before. Logan stood there for a moment, watching the road long after the truck was gone. Then he turned back toward the house. Axel stayed close, closer than before. Halfway up the porch steps, Logan paused. His eyes shifted to the far edge of the field again. The tree line. Same spot. For just a second, something moved. Too quick to catch. Too deliberate to ignore. Logan didn't react. Didn't chase it. Just stood there. Still as stone. Watching. Waiting. Axel let out a low, steady growl. And this time, Logan didn't doubt him. He stood on the porch a few seconds longer than necessary, eyes fixed on the tree line where the movement had been. Nothing followed. No second glimpse. No sound. Just stillness again. But it wasn't empty. It felt occupied. Logan turned and stepped inside, closing the door without taking his eyes off the horizon until the last second. The latch clicked into place with a quiet finality that didn't bring any comfort. Axel followed, stopping just inside the doorway, body angled toward the outside like he wasn't convinced it was safe to turn his back. Yeah, Logan said quietly. I get it. He moved through the house, checking each room again. Not quickly, not casually. Deliberate. Corners first. Windows. Blind spots. Same as before. Clear. But the feeling didn't leave. By mid-afternoon, the sky had shifted. Clouds rolled in low over the mountains, dulling the light and flattening the colors of the land. The air turned heavier, like a storm was deciding whether it wanted to come through. Logan stepped back outside, working along the side of the house where the old shed leaned crooked against the slope. The wood was gray with age, nails rusted, hinges sagging. He tested the door. Locked. Not recently. He stepped back, scanning the ground. Footprints were faint in the dry dirt. But there were disturbances, subtle changes in the pattern. Not enough for someone untrained to notice. Enough for him. Someone had been here. Not wandering. Moving with purpose. Axel moved ahead of him, nose low, tracking something Logan couldn't see. The dog's tail stayed level, not wagging, not stiff, focused. Easy, Logan muttered. Axel slowed, listened, then stopped. His head lifted slightly, ears twitching toward the road. A second later, Logan heard it too. An engine. Not the same old truck from earlier. This one was smoother, quieter, controlled. Logan straightened slowly, turning toward the sound. A black SUV rolled up the dirt road, tires crunching over gravel with steady confidence. No, it didn't slow at the edge of the property. It came straight in. Logan didn't move, didn't wave, didn't step forward. He stayed where he was, letting the vehicle close the distance. Axel stepped in front of him again. Not aggressive, just positioned. The SUV came to a stop about 20 feet away. The engine idled for a moment, then cut off. Silence. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. Late 50s, maybe early 60s. Hair silver at the temples, combed back clean. Expensive jacket. Clean boots that didn't belong on land like this. He took a second to look around, hands resting lightly on the roof of the SUV as if he owned the space already. Then he smiled. Polished. Practiced. "Logan Pierce," he said, like it wasn't a question. Logan didn't respond immediately. "Who's asking?" The man stepped forward, as extending a hand that Logan didn't take. "Derek Vance," he said. "I own the development company operating in this county." Logan glanced at the hand. Didn't move. After a second, Derek lowered it, smile never quite fading. "Figured you might," Logan said. Derek's eyes flicked briefly to Axel. "Beautiful dog," he said. "German Shepherd?" Axel didn't blink, didn't wag, just watched. "Yeah," Logan said. Derek nodded once, like that confirmed something. "Mind if we talk?" "You already are." Derek chuckled softly, as if he appreciated the response. "I'll get straight to it," he said. "I'm interested in this property." Logan leaned slightly against the shed wall, arms loose at his sides. "It's not for sale." Derek smiled again, but this time it didn't reach his eyes. "Everything's for sale," he said. "Just a matter of price." Logan didn't answer. Derek took another step forward, glancing out over the land. His eyes moved slowly, deliberately, not like a man admiring scenery, like a man mapping something, measuring, calculating. "I'll save you the back and forth," Derek continued. 500,000. Cash, clean transfer, no complications. The number hung in the air, too high. Way too high for land this rough, this remote, this ordinary. Logan didn't react, but inside something shifted. Grant's words came back. "Don't take any deals too fast." Derek turned back to him. "That's more than this place is worth," he added, "given its condition." Logan tilted his head slightly. "Then why offer it?" Derek's smile widened a fraction. "Because I see potential." Logan let the silence stretch, watched him, and Derek didn't fidget, didn't look away. But his eyes, they weren't on Logan. They kept drifting, to the tree line, to the slope behind the house, to the ground. Not a buyer, a man studying terrain. Logan straightened. "You've been here before," he said. Derek's gaze snapped back. "Excuse me?" "This land," Logan said. "You've walked it." A beat. Then Derek shrugged lightly. "I've seen a lot of land in this county. Not like this." Derek's smile tightened. Axel let out a low growl. Not loud. Just enough. Derek glanced down at him, then back at Logan. "Dogs can be sensitive," he said. "They pick up on things we don't." "Yeah," Logan said. "They do." Another silence. This one heavier. Derek slipped his hands into his pockets. "I'll leave the offer open," he said. "Not forever. On but long enough for you to think about it." "I don't need time," Logan replied. Derek raised an eyebrow. "No?" "No." Derek studied him again. Longer this time. Then he nodded once, like he'd expected that answer. "All right," he said. "Just understand. Opportunities like this don't come twice." Logan didn't respond. Derek turned and walked back toward the SUV. Halfway there, he stopped, looked over his shoulder. "You're new here," he said. "Still figuring things out." Logan's expression didn't change. Derek's voice dropped slightly. "There are parts of this land that don't belong to you the way you think they do." That landed. Logan felt it. Not confusion, recognition. Derek held his gaze a second longer, then smiled again. "Think about it," he said, and got back into the SUV. The engine started. The vehicle reversed slowly, then turned and headed back down the road. Dust followed it, lingering in the air long after it disappeared. Logan stood there, watching. Axel didn't move. didn't relax. When the sound of the engine finally faded, Logan exhaled slowly. "Yeah," he muttered. "That was quick." He turned back toward the house, but stopped halfway. His eyes dropped to the ground. The tire tracks left by the SUV cut deep into the dirt. Fresh, clean. He followed them with his gaze, then noticed something else. Older tracks. Faint. Almost gone. Same pattern. Same direction. More than one visit. Logan's jaw tightened. He looked back toward the tree line. Same spot. Same feeling. Watching. Waiting. Axel stepped closer, pressing lightly against his leg. Logan rested a hand on the dog's head for a second. "All right," he said quietly. "Now we know." He looked down at the ground again, then back at the house, then toward the place where the floor had sounded hollow. "Whatever's under there," he murmured. "He wants it bad." Axel's ears twitched. The wind shifted. And somewhere far out near the trees, something moved again. Logan didn't chase it. He stood still, letting his eyes adjust, letting his breathing slow. The movement didn't repeat. No second flash. No sound to follow. Just that same empty stretch of land, quiet as it had been all morning. Axel didn't agree. The dog's body stayed tight, head angled slightly forward, ears locked toward the tree line. A low vibration built in his chest, not loud enough to carry, but strong enough that Logan could feel it through the air between them. "Not today," Logan said quietly. Axel didn't move. Logan turned and headed back toward the house. After a second, Axel followed, but not before casting one last look toward the trees. The rest of the afternoon passed in a strange kind of tension. Logan worked through the house again, slower this time. He checked windows, doors, corners, the crawl space beneath the back room. Everything looked the same as it had that morning. Nothing obvious, nothing clean. Just wrong. By sunset, the sky had turned a deep, heavy gray. The wind picked up in long, uneven gusts, pushing through the trees and brushing against the sides of the house with a hollow, restless sound. Storm coming. Logan sat at the kitchen table, the loose floorboard still partially pried up beside him. He hadn't opened it fully yet. Not without a plan. Not without knowing what he was stepping into. And Axel lay near the opening, chin resting just above it. Eyes half closed, but alert. He hadn't left that spot for long all day. Guarding. Logan glanced at the clock on the wall. 9:47 p.m. Too early to sleep. Too late to start digging deeper. He leaned back in the chair, listening to the house settle around him. Every creak felt louder now. Every shift in the wind sounded like movement where there shouldn't be any. His eyes drifted shut for just a second. A sharp crack snapped through the night. Logan was on his feet before the sound finished echoing. Chair scraped back, hand reaching. Nothing there. No weapon. Axel was already moving. The dog bolted toward the back door, barking once. Sharp, urgent, not warning. Alert. Logan crossed the room in 3 strides and threw the door open. Cold air slammed into him. With it, smoke. Thin at first, then thicker, rising from behind the house. Damn it! He didn't think, didn't hesitate. He moved, low, fast. Axel was ahead of him, already rounding the corner. Logan followed, boots hitting dirt hard as he cut across the yard toward the source. The old wooden shed, leaning against the slope, was lit from within. Flames licked through the cracks in the boards, orange light spilling out into the dark like something alive trying to break free. By the time Logan reached it, the fire had already taken hold. Dry wood, old nails, no resistance. It spread fast, too fast. Not an accident. Logan slowed just enough to take it in. Doors shut, no lightning, no reason for it to start on its own. He stepped closer, shielding his face from the heat. The fire roared louder now, beams inside collapsing with sharp, splintering cracks. Sparks shot upward into the wind, carried toward the open land. Axel barked again, louder this time. Not at the fire. Past it. Logan turned. Movement. A shadow breaking from the edge of the property, just beyond the shed. Fast. Low. Running. Logan's body reacted before his mind finished processing. He dropped his center of gravity, pivoted, and took off after it. Axel! The dog was already moving. They crossed the yard in seconds, cutting toward the tree line. The figure ahead was quick, knew the terrain, didn't look back. Logan closed the distance slightly. Not enough. The ground shifted underfoot, uneven, loose. He adjusted his stride, keeping balance, keeping speed. The figure reached the fence line. The same section. Cut wire. Of course. They slipped through, and Logan slowed. Not stopped. Slowed enough to think. Ambush point. Narrow entry. Limited visibility beyond. He angled slightly, approaching off-center instead of straight through. Axel didn't wait. The dog surged ahead, slipping through the gap before Logan could call him back. Axel! Too late. A sharp yelp cut through the air. Logan's chest tightened. He moved faster. Through the fence. Into the trees. Darkness closed in immediately, branches scraping against his arms, ground uneven and cluttered with roots. He pushed forward, following the sound. Axel reappeared a few yards ahead, limping, but moving. Blood marked the path behind him, fresh. Logan dropped to one knee, grabbing the dog gently by the collar. Easy. Easy. Axel resisted for half a second, still keyed up, still tracking. Then he stilled. Logan ran his hand down the dog's leg. A cut. Clean. Sharp edge. Blade, not debris. Son of a... He looked up. The trees ahead were empty. No movement. No sound. Whoever had been there. Gone. Logan stayed still for a long moment, listening. Nothing came back. Just wind pushing through the branches above, carrying the faint glow of the fire behind them. He exhaled slowly. All right, he muttered. We're done chasing. He stood, keeping one hand on Axel as they moved back toward the house. The fire had spread further by the time they returned. Half the shed was already collapsing inward, flames roaring up through the roof. The heat pushed them back 10 feet, then 15. Nothing to save. No waterline. No time. Logan stood there, breathing hard, watching it burn. The orange light danced across the yard, casting long, shifting shadows that made the land look alive in a way it hadn't before. Axel leaned against his leg, still alert, still watching. Logan's eyes moved across the property. Not the fire, beyond it. To the edges, to the places someone could stand and watch this happen. Because someone had. Someone had lit this, watched him react, pulled him away from the house, from the floor, from whatever was hidden beneath it. Logan's jaw tightened. Yeah, he said quietly. That's what this is. A distraction. A message. He looked down at Axel, at the blood on the dog's leg, the way he still refused to turn his back to the trees. They're not trying to scare us off, Logan murmured. Axel's ears twitched. Logan looked back at the house. They're trying to slow us down. The shed collapsed with a final crack, and sending a burst of sparks into the night sky. Logan didn't flinch, didn't step back. He just stood there, watching the flames eat through what was left. Because now he knew. This wasn't about land. It never was. And whatever was buried under that kitchen floor, someone was willing to burn for it. The fire burned itself out sometime after midnight. By then, there wasn't much left of the shed but a blackened frame and a bed of glowing embers that pulsed faintly in the dark. The wind had shifted just enough to keep it from spreading, but not enough to carry away the smell. Smoke lingered. It clung to the air, to Logan's clothes, to the back of his throat. He didn't go back to sleep. Didn't try. Instead, he sat on the porch with Axel beside him, both of them facing the open land. The dog's breathing had steadied, but every so often his ears would twitch, catching something Logan couldn't hear, or maybe didn't want to. Logan kept his gaze low, scanning the ground in front of him, then lifting it slowly to the horizon. Same rhythm, same pattern. Hours passed like that. When the sky finally began to lighten, Logan stood up without a word and went back inside. The house felt different. Not safer. Sharper. Like something inside it had shifted overnight. Axel moved straight to the kitchen. Same spot. Same floor. Logan followed, stepping over the loose board he'd pried open the day before. The gap looked darker now, deeper somehow, like it had expanded in the night. Or maybe he was just seeing it differently. He grabbed the crowbar again. No hesitation this time. "Let's open it up," he said quietly. Axel stepped back, but didn't leave. Logan drove the bar under the edge of the board and pushed down. The nails gave easier now, weakened from the previous attempt. The wood lifted with a long, splintering creak. One board came loose, then another. Logan set them aside carefully, exposing a rectangular opening in the floor just wide enough to see into. Cold air rushed up immediately, stronger this time. Damp, metallic, old. Logan crouched down, bracing one hand against the floor as he angled the flashlight into the opening. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing more than it had before. Wooden supports, reinforced beams, and beyond them, a space that didn't belong under a house like this. Not a crawl space, too tall, too structured. The light moved slowly across the interior, and stopped. Something was down there, not moving, not alive, but placed. Logan narrowed his eyes and leaned closer, angling the beam to get a better look. Stacks, papers, boxes, old but organized, not random, not abandoned, stored, deliberately. He pulled the flashlight back and sat there for a second, processing. "Not just a hole," he murmured. "Storage." Axel let out a low sound. Logan nodded once. "Yeah." He stood and moved to the back room, returning a minute later with a rope, a heavier flashlight, and a pair of gloves. He set everything down beside the opening, then paused. Something caught his eye. A piece of paper on the kitchen counter. He hadn't noticed it before, or maybe it hadn't been there. Logan stepped over, picking it up. Handwriting, same as the note in his pocket. His mother's. The ink was darker, newer. He read it once, then again. "Oh, don't drink the well water." That was it. No explanation, no date. Just the warning. Logan's jaw tightened. He turned his head slowly toward the sink. The faucet. The glass he'd used that morning. He set the note down carefully, then walked to the sink and turned the tap on. The water ran clear, looked normal, smelled slightly off. Not strong, not enough for someone who wasn't paying attention. But Logan noticed. He grabbed the glass, filled it halfway, then held it up to the light. Nothing visible, but the thought had already taken root. "Axel," he said. The dog looked up. Logan set the glass on the floor. "Drink." Axel stepped forward, paused, sniffed, then backed away. Just a step, but enough. Logan didn't move, didn't react. He just watched. Axel sat down beside him, eyes steady, decision made. As Logan exhaled slowly. "Yeah," he said. "We're done with that." He turned off the tap. The silence that followed felt heavier than before. Different kind of danger. Slower. More deliberate. Logan picked up the note again and folded it, slipping it into his pocket beside the first one. 2 warnings. Same handwriting. Same tone. His mother had known. Not guessed. Known. He looked back at the opening in the floor. Then at Axel. "All right," he said quietly. "We go down." He tied the rope to one of the exposed beams near the opening, testing it with his full weight. It held. Axel stepped closer, watching every movement. "You stay close," Logan added. The dog didn't need the command. Logan swung his legs over the edge and lowered himself into the opening. The cold hit him immediately. Stronger down here. A damp air pressed against his skin, carrying that same metallic scent, heavier now. His boots touched solid ground a few seconds later. He crouched instinctively, scanning the space before fully standing. Flashlight up. Slow sweep. Left. Right. Nothing moved. No immediate threat. But the space, it wasn't random. The walls were reinforced with old timber, carefully placed. The ground had been leveled. Boxes lined one side, stacked in neat rows. Not a hiding place. A workspace. Logan stepped forward, boots crunching lightly on the packed dirt. Axel dropped down beside him a second later, landing soft despite the bandaged paws. The dog immediately moved ahead, sniffing the air, then the ground, then the stacks of boxes. Alert. Focused. Logan approached the nearest stack and opened one. Inside, newspaper clippings. Hundreds of them, sorted, labeled. He flipped through a few quickly. Land disputes, property transfers, legal notices. One name appeared again and again. Vance. Logan's expression hardened. He set the box aside and opened another. More documents, maps, old survey layouts of the land above, marked sections, highlighted areas, coordinates. This wasn't random. This was research. Years of it. Logan straightened slowly. Someone was building a case from, he murmured. Axel stopped moving, head lifting, ears forward. Logan turned. What is it? The dog wasn't looking at the boxes or the walls. He was staring deeper into the space, toward the far end, where the flashlight didn't quite reach. Logan angled the beam that way. At first, nothing. Just more darkness. Then, a shape. Subtle. Low to the ground. A door, almost metal, set into the earth like it had been there longer than the house above it. Logan's grip tightened on the flashlight. Of course, he said quietly. Axel took one step forward, then stopped. A low growl building again. Logan didn't move closer. Not yet. He stood there looking at the door, feeling the air shift around it. Colder. Heavier. Like whatever lay beyond it had been waiting for a long time. Logan didn't touch the door. Not yet. He stood there, flashlight steady, letting his eyes adjust to the edges of it. The metal was old, dull, scratched, worn in places where hands had gripped it over and over again. Not abandoned. Used. Maintained. The handle sat low, reinforced, built for pressure. Not something you'd put in a farmhouse crawlspace unless you expected whatever was behind it to matter. Axel's growl deepened. Not loud, but constant. Logan stepped back. Not fear, assessment. He swept the light once more across the room, slower this time. The boxes, the clippings, the maps. Everything pointed in one direction, toward that door. He turned. Not blind, he muttered. Then he moved back toward the rope. Up first. Understand later. Axel followed without hesitation, climbing with a quiet efficiency that said this wasn't his first time navigating tight spaces under stress. When Logan pulled himself back into the kitchen, the air felt warmer, lighter. But it didn't settle him. He stepped away from the opening and stood still for a moment, listening. The house creaked softly around him. Nothing else. He covered the opening loosely with the boards, not sealing it, just enough to hide it from a quick glance. Then he grabbed his jacket. Come on. Axel was already moving. They stepped outside into a sky that had cleared just enough to let pale sunlight break through the clouds. The wind had died down, but the smell of smoke still lingered in the air. Logan didn't head toward the shed. He headed toward the road. Axel stayed close. The walk to Grant's place took longer than it looked from a distance. The land rolled in uneven waves, dips and ridges forcing Logan to adjust his path more than once. He didn't rush, didn't cut corners. Every few minutes, he stopped, listened, checked behind him. Nothing followed. But the feeling stayed. Grant's cabin sat low against the slope, half hidden by trees that had grown thick around it. Old wood, tin roof, a porch that sagged slightly on one side. Logan approached from the front. No need to surprise anyone. Axel stopped a few steps short, sniffing the air. then relaxed. Logan knocked. No answer. He waited. Knocked again. Footsteps inside. Slow. Measured. The door opened just enough for Grant to look out. His eyes moved past Logan immediately. Scanning. Same habit. Same training. Just older. "Figured you'd come by," Grant said, opening the door wider. Logan stepped inside. The cabin smelled like old wood and coffee that had been brewed too long. A radio sat on the table, low static humming beneath it. Grant closed the door behind them. Axel moved to the center of the room and stopped, watching. "Sit," Logan said. The dog lowered himself without taking his eyes off Grant. Grant noticed. "Good dog," he muttered again. Logan didn't sit. He stood near the table, hands loose at his sides. "Oh, there's something under the house," he said. Grant didn't look surprised. Just tired. "What kind of something?" "Reinforced space, storage, documents." Logan paused. "And a door." That landed. Grant's jaw tightened slightly. "Metal?" "Yeah." Grant nodded once, then walked over to the stove, pouring coffee into a chipped mug without asking. He slid it across the table. Logan didn't touch it. Grant leaned back against the counter. "Your mother ever tell you about your family?" he asked. Logan shook his head. "Not much. Kept it vague." Grant let out a slow breath. "Figures." He looked down at his hands for a second, then back up. "You ever hear the name Eleanor Pierce?" Logan's expression didn't change. "Should I have?" Grant studied him, long, then nodded. "Yeah," he said quietly. "You should have." Silence stretched between them. Axel shifted slightly, ears flicking once, then settling again. Grant pushed off the counter. "Eleanor was your great-grandmother," he said. "Owned that land before anyone else in your family. Built most of what's still standing." Logan listened. Didn't interrupt. "Smart woman," Grant continued. "Didn't trust people easy. Especially not after Vance's father started sniffing around." Logan's eyes narrowed. "Derek's father?" Grant nodded. "Different man. Same kind of trouble." He took a slow sip of his coffee. "Back then there was talk about something under that land. Not gold, not oil, something else. Documents, maybe. Evidence, didn't matter. What mattered was, people wanted it." Logan felt the pieces start to shift. "Eleanor knew," Grant went on. Started digging into things. Land records, ownership disputes, old court filings, stuff that didn't add up." Logan leaned slightly forward. "And?" Grant's eyes met his. "And then she disappeared." The room went still. "Disappeared how?" Logan asked. "Gone," Grant said simply. "One day she was there. Next day, nothing. No body, no sign of a struggle. Just gone." Logan's jaw tightened. "And people just accepted that?" Grant let out a dry chuckle. "People accept a lot when they're told to." Silence again. He set the mug down. "Official story was she left," Grant added. "Walked off. Didn't want the land anymore." Logan shook his head slightly. "Doesn't fit." "No," Grant said. "It doesn't." Axel shifted again. This time his attention moved to the door. Grant noticed. "Something wrong?" Logan didn't answer right away, and he listened. Nothing obvious. But the feeling... back again. "Someone's been on the land," Logan said. "Fence cut, tracks, fire last night." Grant's expression hardened. "Yeah," he said. "That'd be them." "Vance?" "His people." Logan exhaled slowly. "They want what's under the house." Grant nodded. "They've wanted it for a long time." Logan's gaze drifted for a second, then came back. "My mother knew." "Yeah. She left me the land anyway." Grant held his eyes. "She didn't leave it to you," he said quietly. "She gave it back to you." That sat heavier than anything else. Logan felt it. Not in his head, in his chest. He looked down at the floor for a second. then back up. "The door," he said. "What's behind it?" Grant hesitated. "Not long. Just enough." "I don't know for sure," he said. "Yeah, but if Eleanor built it, it wasn't for storage." Logan nodded once. Decision forming. Axel stood, without being told. Grant watched that. "Whatever's down there," he said. "It's the reason she disappeared." Logan turned toward the door. "And the reason they're still coming." Grant didn't argue. Didn't try to stop him. Just stepped aside. "Be careful," he said. Logan paused at the threshold. "Always am." He stepped outside, Axel at his side. The wind had picked up again, brushing through the trees with a low, restless sound. As they started back toward the house, Logan didn't look behind him. Didn't need to. He already knew whatever was buried under that land, was never meant to stay hidden forever. Logan didn't slow on the walk back. The land stretched wide and quiet around him, but it didn't feel empty anymore. Well, every rise, every dip in the terrain held weight now. Purpose. He could feel it. Axel stayed tight at his side, no longer drifting ahead, no longer scanning outward. The dog's focus had narrowed. Back to the house, back to the floor. Logan didn't look at the burned shed as they passed it. Didn't need to. He already knew what it meant. They had tried to pull him away. That meant he was close. By the time they reached the porch, the sky had dimmed again. Clouds moved faster now, low and heavy, pressing down on the land like something building. Logan stepped inside and shut the door behind them. The house creaked softly, same as before. But now, he listened differently. Not for noise, for absence, for the wrong kind of quiet. Axel moved straight to the kitchen. Same spot, same focus. Logan didn't waste time. He dropped his jacket, moved to the back room, and returned with everything he had left that mattered. Flashlight, knife, rope, a small pack. Nothing fancy. Just enough. He set it all down beside the opening and pulled the boards fully away this time, exposing the entire gap. Cold air rose up immediately, stronger than before. Alive. Logan crouched and looked down. Same space. Same reinforced beams. Same darkness beyond. But now, he knew what it led to. Not a crawl space, not storage. Something deeper. Axel stepped forward. Too close. Logan put a hand on his collar. "Easy." The dog stilled, but his body leaned forward, drawn toward the opening like a compass finding north. Logan tied the rope again, checking the knot twice this time. Then he looped it once around his forearm, not for safety, for control. Dropped the flashlight beam into the opening, then followed it down. Boots hit the ground. Same cold, same smell, stronger now that he expected it. Axel dropped beside him a second later. No hesitation, no fear. Logan scanned the space again. Clear. Boxes untouched. Nothing moved. But the door. That was different. It felt closer now. He moved toward it slowly, steps quiet, controlled. His light stayed low, sweeping just enough to keep track of the ground. Axel followed half a step behind, not ahead this time, waiting. When Logan reached the door, he stopped, close enough to see the details. The metal wasn't just worn, it was scarred, scratches near the edges, marks around the handle, not damage. Use, repeated. Someone had opened this door a lot. Recently, Logan reached out and placed his hand on the surface. Cold. Not just from the air. From below. He pulled his hand back, looked at the handle, then at Axel. The dog's ears were forward again, but there was something else now. Not just tension. Expectation. Logan exhaled slowly. All right. He grabbed the handle, turned. For a second, nothing. Then a heavy click echoed through the space. Deep, Final. The sound traveled through the ground beneath his boots, up into his chest. Axel's body tensed. Logan pulled. The door resisted at first, then gave. Slow, heavy. It opened just enough to let the smell hit. Stronger, damp. Old air sealed too long. Logan stepped back half a pace, letting it clear, then angled the flashlight inside. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing a tunnel. Not natural. No, not carved by chance. Reinforced walls, metal supports, a narrow path leading deeper under the land. Logan's jaw tightened. This wasn't just a bunker, he murmured. Axel stepped forward. One step, then stopped. He turned his head slightly, ears twitching, listening. Logan froze. There. A sound. Faint. So faint it barely registered. A shift. Not wind. Not structure. Something else. Logan angled the light deeper into the tunnel. Nothing moved. But the sound came again. Soft. Irregular. Like something brushing against metal or breathing. Logan's grip tightened on the flashlight. "Tell me you hear that," he said quietly. Axel didn't respond. He didn't need to. His entire body had gone still, locked, focused, on something deeper inside the tunnel. Logan didn't rush, didn't charge in. While he stepped forward slowly, 1 foot at a time, keeping his weight balanced, his breathing controlled, the beam moved with him, revealing more of the tunnel, more supports, more signs of human work. Then, the floor shifted. Subtle, but enough. Axel lunged forward suddenly, grabbing the back of Logan's jacket and yanking hard. Logan stumbled back just as the ground in front of him gave way. A section of the tunnel floor collapsed inward, with a dull crack, dirt and debris dropping into a dark void below. Silence followed. Deep. Final. Logan stared at the hole, then at Axel. The dog released his grip slowly, stepping back, eyes still locked on the broken ground. "Yeah," Logan muttered. "That would have been bad." He crouched near the edge, angling the light down. Nothing but darkness. No bottom visible. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. Axel had just saved him. Again. Logan reached out and rested a hand on the dog's neck. "Good call." Axel didn't react. Still focused. Still listening. Logan stood again, adjusting his path, stepping carefully around the collapsed section. The tunnel narrowed slightly beyond it. And the air, it changed. Warmer. Barely. But enough. And the smell, different. Less stale. More recent. Logan felt it. Something down here wasn't abandoned. Hadn't been for a long time. He moved forward. Slower now. Every step deliberate. Every sound measured. Axel stayed tight beside him. Not leading. Not lagging. Matching him. The tunnel curved slightly ahead, disappearing out of sight. And from somewhere beyond that curve, that sound came again. Soft, uneven, alive. Logan stopped just before the bend, his pulse steady, his breath controlled, his mind already moving ahead. "All right," he said quietly. He tightened his grip on the flashlight, then stepped forward into the dark. Because now, he knew. Axel hadn't been trying to dig into the ground. He'd been trying to reach someone. Logan moved around the bend. Slow, measured. The flashlight beam slid along the curved wall, catching rough metal supports and damp patches where water had seeped through over time. The tunnel narrowed just enough to force him to angle his shoulders. The air changed again. Warmer. Not by much, but enough to notice. Enough to mean something. Axel stepped ahead of him this time. Careful. Each paw placed deliberately, avoiding loose dirt, avoiding the edges of the tunnel where the ground looked weaker. Logan followed close. Every few steps, he paused, listened, The sound came again. Clearer now. Not metal, not movement. Breathing. Shallow. Uneven. Human. Logan's chest tightened. He moved faster. Still controlled, but no longer slow. The tunnel opened suddenly. Not wide, but enough to break the tight pressure of the walls. And there, the beam hit something that wasn't part of the structure. A room. A small one. Reinforced on all sides. Sealed. Built to last. Logan stepped into it. The smell hit him immediately. Stale air. Fabric. Time. And something else. Life. Barely. But still there. The flashlight moved, swept across a narrow cot against the far wall. A small table. Empty containers. Books stacked neatly in one corner. Then, the beam stopped. A figure. Still. Thin. Wrapped in blankets that had lost most of their warmth long ago. Well, for a second, Logan didn't move. Didn't breathe. Because there was no movement. No reaction. Nothing to confirm what he was seeing. Too late. That thought came fast. Too fast. He pushed it down. Forced himself forward. "Hey," he said, voice low but steady. No response. Axel moved past him. Slowly. No barking. No sudden movement. The dog approached the cot like he understood exactly what was at stake. Logan reached it a second later. He lowered the light. Closer. The face came into view. Old. Fragile. Skin pale and thin, stretched over bone like paper. White hair spread across the pillow. Eyes closed. Logan felt his chest tighten again. He set the flashlight down carefully and reached out. 2 fingers to the neck. Stillness. A second. Then. Faint. Weak. But there. A pulse. Logan exhaled sharply. Still here," he muttered. Axel let out a soft sound. Relief. The kind that didn't need volume. Logan leaned in closer. "Hey," he said again, a little louder. "Can you hear me?" The figure didn't respond. But something shifted. Barely. A twitch. Logan grabbed a small bottle from his pack and unscrewed the cap. "Easy," he said. He lifted the woman's head slightly, careful, supporting it with one hand. Her skin felt cold. Too cold. He touched the water to her lips. At first, nothing. Then, a faint movement. Her mouth opened slightly. Just enough. Logan let a few drops in. Waited. Another swallow. Slow. Painful. But real. Axel sat beside the cot, unmoving, watching her like he'd been waiting for this moment longer than Logan could understand. Logan gave her a little more water, then stopped. Didn't push it. Didn't rush. "Stay with me," he said quietly. The woman's eyes fluttered. Once. Twice. Then slowly. They opened. Clouded. But aware. They moved. Searching. Until they found him. Logan held still. Didn't speak. Didn't move. The silence stretched. Then, her lips parted. Dry. Cracked. Her voice barely made it out. "You came." The words were thin, fragile, but clear. Logan felt something shift inside him. Not confusion. Recognition. "I'm here," he said. Her eyes studied his face. Slowly. Carefully. Like she was looking through time, not just at him. "She said," the woman whispered. "She said you would find me." Logan's breath caught. "She?" he asked. But he already knew. The woman blinked slowly. "Your mother," she said. The words hit harder than anything else so far. Logan didn't respond right away, and his mind moved fast, connecting pieces that had been scattered until now. The land, the documents, the door, the warning, and this. "She knew," he said quietly. The woman's eyes softened. "Always knew," she whispered. Her hand moved, slow, shaking, reaching toward him. Logan took it without hesitation. Her grip was weak, but deliberate. "Logan," she said. Not a question, not a guess. His name. "How do you—" "She told me everything," the woman said, her voice gaining just enough strength to carry. "Every visit, every story, every year." Logan froze. "Every year," he repeated. She nodded faintly. "She never stopped," she whispered. "Even when she couldn't come, she found ways. Letters. Recordings." Logan's chest tightened. He swallowed. Hard. "Who are you?" he asked. The woman's eyes held his. Clearer now. Stronger. "Eleanor Pierce," she said. The name settled into the room. Heavy. Final. Logan felt it. Not as a surprise, as confirmation. "My great-grandmother," he said quietly. Eleanor's lips curved slightly. Not quite a smile, but close. "About time," she murmured. Axel shifted closer, lowering his head near her hand. Eleanor's fingers moved again. Barely, but enough to brush against the dog's fur. "He found me," she whispered. Logan glanced at Axel. "Yeah," he said. "He did." Eleanor's breathing steadied slightly. Not strong, but better. "You took your time," she added faintly. Logan let out a breath that almost sounded like a laugh. "Yeah," he said. "Story of my life." Silence settled again. But it wasn't the same silence as before. This one held something. Relief. But for a moment, it felt like they had made it. Then, Axel's head snapped up. His ears locked forward. A low growl rolled through his chest. Logan's body reacted instantly. He turned, flashlight up, toward the tunnel. And there, faint, but unmistakable, the sound of footsteps, coming closer, more than one. Logan's grip tightened. His pulse didn't spike, didn't panic. It narrowed, focused. "They're here," he said quietly. Eleanor's eyes closed for a second. Not fear, acceptance. "They were always coming," she whispered. Axel stepped in front of the cot, positioned, ready. Logan reached down, grabbing the small metal box beneath the bed without taking his eyes off the tunnel. "What's in this?" he asked. "Everything," Eleanor said. The footsteps grew louder, closer. Logan exhaled slowly, then looked at Axel. "Stay sharp, because whatever came next wasn't going to be quiet." The footsteps didn't try to hide anymore. They came steady, heavy, boots on packed earth, echoing through the narrow tunnel with a rhythm that told Logan everything he needed to know. More than one. Not rushing, confident. They thought they had time. Logan's mind snapped into place. Clear, cold, focused. He moved fast but controlled, setting the metal box into his pack without looking away from the tunnel. His hand brushed the side of it for a second. Solid, real. Then he turned back to Eleanor. "We're moving," he said. She didn't argue, didn't ask questions, just nodded once, weak but certain. Axel stepped closer, pressing against her side as Logan slid one arm under her shoulders and the other beneath her legs. She weighed almost nothing, too light. As Logan adjusted his grip carefully, lifting her just enough to keep her steady. Her breath hitched, not pain, strain. "Easy," he muttered. The footsteps got closer. Voices now, low, muffled. "Check further in. He's down here." Logan's eyes flicked to the tunnel again. Distance closing. He turned toward the exit. "Stay with me," he said quietly. Eleanor's fingers tightened weakly against his sleeve. "I've waited this long," she whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." Logan nodded once, then moved. Back into the tunnel. Axel took point. Not far ahead. Just enough to see before Logan did. The dog's body stayed low, movements precise, ears catching every shift in the air. Logan followed, steps controlled despite the added weight. No wasted motion, Every footfall placed where it wouldn't echo, every breath measured. Well, the tunnel felt tighter now, lower, like it was closing in around them, behind them. The voices grew louder. "Light up ahead! Move faster!" They had seen the open door. They knew. Logan didn't look back. Didn't need to. He could map their position by sound alone. 20 yards. Closing. He adjusted his pace. Faster. Not running. Not yet. Axel stopped suddenly. Logan froze. The dog's head tilted slightly, then snapped toward the ground ahead. Logan followed his line of sight. The collapsed section. He had forgotten how narrow the safe path around it was. With Eleanor in his arms, it was worse. Axel moved first, stepping lightly along the edge, choosing his footing without hesitation. Logan shifted his weight, tested the ground with his boot. Solid. He moved. One step, then another. Oh, the dirt crumbled slightly under his heel, sending a small cascade down into the darkness below. The sound echoed. Too loud. Behind them. "Did you hear that?" Logan's jaw tightened. No time. He moved faster, stepping across the narrow edge and onto solid ground again. Axel cleared the gap and turned immediately, watching the tunnel behind them. The voices sharpened. Closer now. "He's right there." Logan didn't slow. The exit was just ahead. He could see the faint glow of daylight filtering down through the opening. "Almost there," he muttered. Eleanor's head rested against his shoulder. Her breathing was shallow, but steady. Alive. That was all that mattered. They reached the opening. Axel jumped first, clearing the edge and landing softly in the kitchen above. Logan adjusted his grip and climbed after him, pulling himself up with one arm while keeping Eleanor steady with the other. His boots hit the floor. He didn't stop moving. "Door," he said. Axel was already there, positioning himself between Logan and the hallway. Logan crossed the room in 2 steps and kicked the loose boards back over the opening. Not sealed, but enough to slow anyone who didn't know exactly what they were looking for. Behind him, a sound. Wood shifting, the first of them reaching the tunnel. Logan didn't hesitate. He moved toward the front door. "Stay with me," he said again. Eleanor didn't answer, but her grip tightened slightly. Enough. They stepped outside. Cold air hit hard, clearing the stale underground smell from Logan's lungs. The land stretched open in front of him. No cover, no protection, just distance. Axel moved ahead, scanning. Logan followed, heading away from the house, angling toward the ridge where the terrain broke into uneven ground. Better defensible, better visibility. Behind them. The house door slammed open. Voices. Louder now. "Outside! They went outside!" Logan didn't turn, didn't look. He kept moving, steady, controlled. Axel slowed suddenly, turned, and then charged, back toward the house. "Axel!" Too late. The dog was already moving. A shadow broke from the doorway. One of the men, stepping out too fast, too exposed. Axel hit him low and hard, slamming into his legs. The man went down with a grunt, losing balance, hands scrambling for something at his side. Logan pivoted instantly, shifting Eleanor's weight just enough to keep her secure as he moved back 2 steps. Axel didn't let up. He stayed on the man. Not biting, not mauling, just enough pressure to keep him down, to disrupt, to delay. Another figure appeared in the doorway. Logan saw it, measured it. Distance. Time. Not enough. "Axel!" he snapped. The dog broke off immediately, sprinting back to Logan's side. The man on the ground struggled to get up. The second figure raised something. Logan moved. Not toward them. Away. Faster now. No more stealth. No more slow movement. He ran, boots hitting dirt hard, breath steady, body moving with the same efficiency it always had under pressure. Axel stayed beside him. Not ahead, not behind, matching pace. Logan didn't look back. Didn't need to. The sound of pursuit followed, closer than before, but not closing fast enough. Not yet. He reached the ridgeline and dropped low behind a cluster of rocks, finally stopping long enough to catch a breath. Axel turned immediately, facing the direction they had come from, body tense, ready. Logan adjusted Eleanor's position carefully, lowering her just enough to rest against the rock. She opened her eyes slightly. "You didn't leave me," she whispered. Logan shook his head. "Not happening." Her lips moved, almost a smile. Axel let out a low growl. Logan looked up. The figures had stopped at the edge of the yard, watching, not advancing, not yet, waiting. Logan met their gaze from across the distance. No fear, no hesitation, just calculation. "They'll come again," he said quietly. Axel's ears twitched. Eleanor's eyes closed again, her breathing steady against the rock. Logan reached into his pack and rested his hand on the metal box. Everything. That's what she had said. And he looked back at the house, then at the men standing near it, then at the land stretching out between them. "This isn't over," he murmured. Because now, it wasn't just about what was buried underground. It was about getting it out. Logan didn't move for a long time. The ridge gave him just enough elevation to see the house, the yard, the burned-out skeleton of the shed, and the men who stood near the doorway like they were deciding their next step. They didn't rush him. That told him more than if they had. They were waiting for something, or someone. Axel stayed locked on them, body still, ears forward, reading every shift in posture, every step. Eleanor rested against the rock, her breathing shallow but steady. The color hadn't come back to her face yet, but she was stronger than she had been underground, and strong enough to speak. "Logan," she said softly. He didn't take his eyes off the house. "I'm here." "The box," she whispered. "Open it." Logan hesitated for half a second, not because he didn't trust her, because timing mattered. But the men below weren't moving. Not yet. He reached into his pack and pulled the metal box free. Old, scratched, locked once, but the latch had been worn down over time. He flipped it open. Inside. Documents, stacks of them sealed in plastic sleeves. Photos, typed reports, handwritten notes. Logan flipped through the first few pages quickly, his eyes scanning, processing. Land records, original ownership filings, transfer documents. And beneath them, forged signatures, altered seals, dates that didn't match. His jaw tightened. "They took it," he said quietly. Eleanor nodded. "Oh, piece by piece," she whispered. "Paper by paper." Logan pulled out another document. Bank records, payments, names. One stood out immediately. Vance, not Derek, his father. "Started decades ago," Eleanor continued, her voice gaining strength with each word. "They didn't come in with guns. They came in with contracts. Bought judges, bought clerks, made it all look legal." Logan's grip on the papers tightened. "They stole the land. They stole everything," she said. He reached deeper into the box. His fingers brushed something different. Plastic. A small cassette tape. Old. Labeled in faded ink. Logan lifted it carefully. "What's this?" Eleanor's eyes locked onto it. "That," she said, "is why I'm still alive." Logan looked at her. "Explain." She took a slow breath. "His father, William Vance," she said. "Oh, I got close enough to record him. One night. He didn't know." Logan's expression sharpened. "What's on it?" "Everything," she whispered. "Admissions, names, payments, threats. It's all there." Logan looked down at the tape again, then back at the house. The men hadn't moved, but something else had. A second vehicle rolled up beside the SUV. Black. Same type. Door opened. Derek Vance stepped out. Even from a distance, Logan recognized him. The way he moved, controlled, confident, like he wasn't worried about the outcome. Logan's jaw tightened. "He's here," he said. Axel's growl deepened. Eleanor closed her eyes for a second. Then it's time, she murmured. Logan glanced at her. Time for what? She looked at him again. Clear, focused. For this to end. Logan didn't answer. He reached into his pocket, but pulling out his phone. No signal. Not here. Too far out. He looked at the ridgeline, then at the open land behind them. Higher ground. Better reception. Maybe. He turned back to Eleanor. We move again, he said. She nodded. No hesitation. Axel shifted slightly, picking up on the change. Logan repacked the documents, securing the box tight in his bag. Then he moved. Not toward the house, away from it. Up. The climb wasn't steep, but it was uneven. Rocks shifted underfoot, patches of loose dirt threatening to slide if he moved too fast. He adjusted his pace, balanced Eleanor's weight carefully. Axel stayed close. Halfway up, the sound came. Engines. Behind them. Logan didn't look. Didn't need to. They're moving, he said. Axel's ears flicked. Logan pushed harder. Not running, but faster. No controlled urgency. They reached the top of the ridge. Wind hit harder up here, cutting across the open space. Logan pulled out his phone again. 1 bar. Flickering. Enough. He turned on the camera. Didn't think about it. Didn't hesitate. He hit record. My name is Logan Pierce, he said, voice steady despite the wind. If you're seeing this, it means something went wrong. He angled the camera toward Eleanor. She didn't flinch. Didn't hide. My name is Eleanor Pierce, she said, her voice thin but clear. I have been hiding for over 20 years because the Vance family tried to take everything from us. Logan shifted the camera slightly, capturing the box, the documents. The evidence is here, he said. Land records, payments, everything they used to cover it up. He paused, then held up the tape. And this, he added, is a recording of William Vance admitting to it. The wind carried the words, across the land, toward the house, toward the men who had been watching. Logan stopped recording, saved the file, then hit send. The signal flickered, dropped, came back. Uploading. Slow, too slow. Behind them. Vehicles spread out across the lower ground. Derek wasn't waiting anymore. He was moving. Logan watched him through the distance. Then, something unexpected happened. A third vehicle approached. Different. Newer. It pulled up hard beside the others. The door opened. A younger man stepped out. Early 20s. Same features. Same structure. But different. His posture wasn't controlled. It was tense, uncertain. He walked straight toward Derek. Didn't hesitate. Didn't look at the others. And even from this distance, Logan could see the argument. Sharp gestures. Voices raised. Then, the younger man turned, looked directly up at the ridge, at Logan, and raised something in his hand. A book. Old. Worn. He held it out, then stepped away from Derek, toward the open ground. Logan frowned. What is he doing? Eleanor leaned forward slightly, squinting against the wind. His son, she said. Logan's eyes narrowed. The younger man kept walking, alone, toward the ridge. Derek shouted something behind him. The man didn't stop, didn't turn. Logan adjusted his stance, ready. Axel stayed low, watching, waiting. The man reached the base of the ridge and stopped, looked up, then called out. I'm not here to fight, he said. I'm here to end this. Logan didn't move. Then start talking, he replied. The man took a breath, then held up the book again. My grandfather kept records, he said. Everything he did, everything he ordered. Logan felt it. Another piece falling into place. The man's voice carried clearly now. I found it last week, he continued. I didn't know what my family had done until then. Behind him, Derek moved forward, fast, angry, but the younger man didn't look back. "I'm not part of this," he said. "Not anymore." Logan held his position, watched, measured. The man took another step forward, then another. "Take it," he said, extending the book. "Use it. End it." Logan glanced at Eleanor. She nodded once. That was enough. Logan stepped down the ridge slowly, keeping his body between Eleanor and the open ground. Axel moved with him, every step controlled, every movement calculated. When they met halfway, the man held out the book. Logan took it. Heavy. Real. He flipped it open. Pages filled with handwriting. Dates, names, amounts, everything. Logan closed it slowly, looked up. The man met his gaze. "I'm done carrying it," he said quietly. Behind him, Derek shouted again. Closer now. Too close. Logan stepped back, turned. "Time to finish it," he said. Because now, they had everything. The wind didn't die down. It kept moving across the ridge, pushing dust and dry grass in long, slow waves, like the land itself was breathing again after holding something in for too long. Logan stood still for a moment, the book in his hand, the weight of it. Not just paper, not just ink. Proof. Behind him, Eleanor rested against the rock, her eyes half open, and watching everything with a quiet that didn't come from weakness. It came from knowing it was finally over. Below. Derek Vance stopped advancing. Not because he wanted to, because he had to. The distance between them wasn't just physical anymore. It was final. His son stood off to the side, no longer part of his shadow, no longer carrying his name the same way. Logan didn't say anything. Didn't need to. The sound came first. Sirens. Faint. Then louder. Vehicles approaching fast along the dirt road that cut through the valley. Derek turned. Just slightly. Just enough. That hesitation. It was all Logan needed to see. The control was gone. The certainty. Cracked. The vehicles came into view minutes later. County first, then federal. Dust rising behind them in long plumes. Doors opened. Agents stepped out. Purpose in every movement. No confusion. No delay. Logan stayed where he was. Didn't move toward them. Didn't move away. He just stood. Holding the evidence. Holding the end of something that had started long before he was born. Axel sat beside him. Not tense anymore. Still alert. But different. Like the job was done. The agents spread out quickly, moving toward Derek and the others. Voices carried across the open land. Firm, clear, commands, hands raised. No one ran. There was nowhere left to go. Logan finally exhaled. Not sharp, not heavy, just steady. Like something inside him had finally stopped bracing for the next hit. Eleanor's hand touched his sleeve. Light, but enough. "It's done," she said. Logan looked down at her, then back out at the land. "Yeah," he said quietly. "It is." He didn't smile. Not yet. That came later. Weeks later. When the noise died down. When the trucks stopped coming. When the land settled back into its own rhythm. The porch had been repaired. Not perfect, but solid. The boards didn't creak the same way anymore. Logan sat in a chair angled toward the open yard, not toward the door, never with his back to it. That hadn't changed. Maybe it never would. But the nights, they were different. He still woke sometimes, still sat up before he knew why, still listened. But the silence didn't press on him the way it used to. It didn't feel like something waiting to break in. It felt like space. Axel lay stretched out near the steps, one front leg extended slightly forward. The scar was still there, a thin line where the fur hadn't grown back the same. Logan glanced at it without thinking. The dog caught the movement, lifted his head, Ears relaxed, eyes clear, then lowered it again. No tension. No need. The wind moved through the trees at the edge of the property. The same trees Logan had watched that first night. The same line where something had moved. Now. Nothing moved there. Not like before. Eleanor stepped out onto the porch slowly, a blanket draped over her shoulders despite the mild air. Her steps were careful, measured, but steady. Logan shifted his chair slightly without being asked, giving her space beside him. She lowered herself into the second chair with a quiet breath. They sat like that for a while. No words. Didn't need them. The land stretched out in front of them. Different now. Not just because the legal lines had changed, but because the weight had. It wasn't something being hidden anymore. It was something returned. "You fixed the well," Eleanor said eventually. Logan nodded. "Didn't trust it before." She gave a faint smile. "Smart." He glanced at her. "You knew?" "Of course I knew," she said softly. "That's why I told your mother to keep you away." Logan looked back out at the fields. "Yeah," he said. "She did." The words didn't carry anger. Not anymore. Just understanding. Eleanor adjusted the blanket around her shoulders. "She wanted you to have a life," she said. "Not this." Logan leaned back slightly in the chair, looked out toward the ridge, toward the place where everything had shifted. "I think she knew I'd end up here anyway," he said. Eleanor didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was quieter. Oh, she was counting on it. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the land. Axel shifted slightly, letting out a low breath. Logan reached down without looking and rested a hand against the dog's side. Solid. Warm. There. He let it stay there for a moment, then pulled it back. "You ever think about leaving?" Logan asked. Eleanor shook her head slowly. "Not anymore." He nodded. Didn't press. Didn't need to. The land didn't feel like something to escape now. It felt like something that had been waiting. All this time. Not for documents. Not for proof. For someone to come back. To finish it. Logan leaned forward slightly, resting his elbows on his knees. Watched the wind move through the grass. Watched the sky shift colors. "I thought I inherited land," he said after a while. Eleanor glanced at him. "And?" Logan let out a small breath. "I didn't." He looked out over everything again. At the house. At the fields. At the line of trees. Then down at Axel. The dog didn't move. Didn't need to. Logan nodded slightly. "I inherited what was left of a fight," he said. "And what came after it." Eleanor's expression softened. "That's more valuable," she said. Logan didn't argue. Didn't agree. He just sat there, letting it settle. The wind moved again, the same way it had that first night. But now, it didn't carry tension, didn't carry warning, just sound, just movement, just the land being what it had always been, waiting, not for something to hide, but for someone to find it, and stay. If this story stayed with you, even just a little, I want you to do something simple. Just drop a 1 in the comments if you believe loyalty like Axel's still exists. Or drop a 0 if you think people don't fight like this anymore. No long words. No explanation needed. Just 0 or 1. I read every single one. And if you felt something in this story, the silence, the fight, the moment everything finally came back to the surface, hit subscribe. Because there are more stories like this waiting. Stories about people who lost everything and found something deeper. I'll see you in the next one.